Calvin Castine on the West Service Road in Champlain, just a little bit off from the Adirondack Northway, Route 87. And we're just a short distance from the U.S.-Canadian Customs. On the U.S. side coming south, it's the fourth busiest port on the northern border here in Champlain. In addition, in the town of Champlain, there are two more ports, one at Overton's Corners, above northeastern Clinton Central, and another one about 6 miles from here. They're both, the Overton Corners is about 3 miles from here. 6 miles from here in Rouse's Point. So a total of 3 legal border crossings where they could go to the Canadian Customs when entering Canada and report. Well, we're about to do an update on the Roxham Road situation, and we're going to go from here to there immediately to update the situation at the Roxham Road on this February 15th, 2023. This is the Roxham Road. For those of you who don't know, Champlain is located about 300 miles north of New York City. It is a northeastern tip of New York State. To the east is Lake Champlain in Vermont. To the north is Canada, so it's a very northeastern tip. And if you cross on any of those legal border crossings, you are able to go in, and if you're rejected, you will be sent back. But if you cross at an illegal border crossing, I'm going to call it illegal. Other people refuse to use that name, but illegal border crossing, you would be accepted, and they'll listen to your plea and treat you accordingly. There are at least a dozen roads like this in Clinton County, where years ago they could cross, but there's now only a small handful of actual border crossings, so roads like this were blocked off. To the north of here is a popular Parc Safari Africain in Hemingford, Quebec. That's to the north of here. And on this side of the border, it's Perry's Mills is just down that right there, a hamlet in the town of Champlain. So you can no longer drive across here, but starting in 2017, it got popular for people who were seeking asylum to make the trip here, and through YouTube and other media, Googles, they have given the people who want to cross a tutorial on how to get across and be handed on the other side. So taxis come from Plattsburgh and deliver folks here on a regular basis. I've got the numbers in my car, and I'll read those shortly. We're going to talk to a guy who comes here every day and picks up the litter. Maybe not, but Champlain Town Supervisor Tom Trombley. Looks like somebody forgot their phone here, Tom.
Yeah, looks like just the case.
Okay, we have stopped Tom. He said he doesn't normally come here to haul the garbage away, but he's picking up a few pieces that are straggling here today. Roxham Road, beyond our lifetimes, as used to be traveled, and as I said before we got on camera, here's about a dozen of these in Clinton County where years ago you could cross, and we've got one up in Oak Street in Champlain that in our lifetime you could go through, because that's where most of the cattle came through. That was a customs house there, but they got rid of it. So in the town now there's only 3 customs house, but there's probably another half dozen roads that head up toward the border and are like this. So it's created, you've got a dead end here, it's got to be plowed, and you've got problems here. So tell us what the town problems are because of this type of situation.
Well, I think our largest headache is the congestion that's being caused by the migrants using this as a crossing to get into Canada to claim asylum. What happens is you have multiple taxis, small shuttle buses that'll arrive here all at the same time, because when the Greyhounds arrive in Plattsburgh, 20 miles south of here, they're scheduled at poor times for our traffic. Basically, they end up arriving here around 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we have school buses trying to use this public road to turn around, and they're unable to. It forces me to try to find alternative turnarounds for them. I had to go to a property owner and get an agreement to use a small dirt road for the interim, and that's what I'm looking for is assistance from either state or federal, from somewhere, to help with the congestion and create parking areas. This is not going away, obviously. It's been going on since 2017. The other problem is the garbage. You see me down here picking up a little bit today, and we have volunteers that come down here and try to keep it picked up. Volunteers that actually take it to the refuge, because how do you justify using town taxpayer dollars to take care of a garbage issue that's created by this, by migrants moving here to use this public road to cross into Canada? So those are my two issues. I would certainly like some help with both of those problems. Until then, we try to control it as best we can. And,
what does the snowplow operator do when he comes down here and you've got a couple dozen people standing around? How in the heck do you plow this? It's tricky enough to plow in a dead end like this to begin with.
That's correct. And actually, recently, it seems like Greyhound has added some routes early morning, or I guess during the night. And so there's another influx at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we've had the plow driver have to not be able to plow here and literally back down the road and come back later. So again, it creates a lot of hazards. So my biggest headache as town supervisor is the congestion that this causes, and the safety aspect of it for the motorists. And again, this is a public road.
Okay, I'm going to step off camera here and invite you to step alongside of me here, Tom. I'm going to read some stuff that I've got here that I invite you to chime in whenever you want. As we said, if you were up until recently, with the influx on the southern border, most of the people crossing here were in the United States on what I'll call a legal basis. They would, in fact,
visas in some cases,
or just you just come to visit, and you and I go to Canada. We tell them how long we're going to be there, and we can come back. So, and hopefully we don't decide to stay. And if we did, then we'd have a problem. But in 2017, I did a program here with Brian Jefferson, and we talked to a lady. Well, we couldn't talk to her very well. She's from Haiti, so she spoke French, and neither Brian or I spoke very good French. But fortunately, before we left, there was a Montreal Gazette reporter that showed up, and he was able to interpret a little bit for us. But she got here and she got cold feet. But she'd flown here to New York City, got a bus ride up to Plattsburgh, then took the taxi up here because she wanted to go to Canada to seek asylum. So she was here in the U.S. legally, but she wanted to go into Canada and not do it legally, because if she did go through the border, she couldn't seek asylum for whatever reason that is. So I've got some numbers here. And this is of Quebec, going back to 2011, only 695. Now, this crossing wasn't here. It was here, but it wasn't being used in 2011. And as recently as 2016, it was only 455 for the year. Then in 2017, it jumped up to 18,836. Most of them, but not all of them, because Alberg, Vermont was still quite active at the time, were done here. But now it's pretty much, for the most part, what I saw online here indicated that last year out of 39,171, 39,161 were processed here. So only 10 other people crossed somewhere else. Exactly. So 39,000. That was up. Obviously, with the COVID, the numbers were down from 2020 and 2021 to 3,100 and 4,000 in each of those years. Prior to that, in 2018, it was 18,518. In 2019, it was 16,136. So in December of 2022, the number had increased to 4,689, and then it brought the total up to 39,000 for the year. over twice as many as what was coming in before COVID. So the numbers have shot up. They shot up dramatically in December, and I was hoping we'd be able to get some kind of a report for January, because we're in the middle of February right now, but I wasn't able to get that.
Right.
But I'm reasonably sure that those numbers are up in that 4,600 range again, if not 5,000. And speaking of 5,000, town of Champlain has a population of
5,500
people, and we're being asked to handle this kind of a situation here by our taxpayers. The city of Plattsburgh has roughly just a little under 20,000. Clinton County has roughly 79,000. So what's happened is, and we got this article from the New York Post, Quebec tells Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, to stop buying New York migrants bus tickets. Sometime in the fall, the people in Texas decided New York City is a sanctuary city. So they would put people on a bus and send them up to the sanctuary city. Well, the mayor doesn't seem to like that idea. And to me, if you're a sanctuary city, this is what it's all about, welcoming these people. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's what, if you're a sanctuary city,
intended to be, yes.
Yeah, that's why you put that big sign up there and say, look at us. So I'm going to read some of the quotes from the New York Post, because it's overwhelming Quebec right now, and they're blaming part of that on New York City sending the people up here. So the government of Canada's second most populated province is demanding that Mayor Eric Adams immediately stop helping migrants illegally enter the Great White North, as recently revealed by the Post. Any form of assistance to migrants crossing the border, where it is strictly forbidden to do so, should stop immediately. This is a spot where theoretically it's forbidden to do so. Once you cross here, they read you your rights, so to speak, tell you that once you're crossing here, you will be arrested, and then but that arrest starts you on the process of applying for your status as an immigrant, that you can apply for sanctuary. We understand the situation of migrants in New York poses major challenges, but the situation in Quebec, and particularly in Montreal, is even worse and constitutes an important humanitarian issue. Earlier this month, the Post exclusively reported that Adams was using taxpayer funds to get bus tickets for migrants in the Big Apple to travel upstate to Plattsburgh. From there, migrants take taxis and vans to a cul-de-sac at the end of the Roxham Road in Champlain, where they walk across the border and surrender to Canadian Mounties to seek asylum, and that's as the Post documented. As many as 250 migrants use the Roxham Road crossing illegally to enter Canada each day, with nearly all of them settling in Montreal, Quebec's largest city, Legault spokesman said. Last year, 39,161 people used the Roxham Road, comprising 99.1% of all such border crossings on the Quebec side. But while the Big Apple's population is nearly 8.5 million, Montreal's is just 1.7 million. The surge in border crossings at Roxham Road has sparked controversy in Quebec, and the Separatist Party Québécois recently calling for police intervention in the creation of an enclave to block the Roxham Road path between the U.S. and Canada. So there is starting to be some reaction on the Canadian side, according to what the New York Post is reading. So what I've just read is all quotes from that New York Post article. Earlier today, I saw a thing online, Tom, from our border patrol out of Swanton. We're part of the Swanton, Vermont sector here.
That's correct.
And they showed that this situation where sometimes what's happening now, we're getting more of these people who are crossing, and they're finding out, well, maybe I don't want to be in Canada. So now they want to come back, and because they're not in Canada legally, they can't come through our port and be processed, so they cross illegally back into the United States. A picture they showed today showed a footprint, and it was a foot, barefoot, in the snow. So you can imagine how desperate some of these people are out there to be coming back this way in the dead of winter
Mm-hmm.
with bare feet. It's
And I've been told part of that reason is this large influx, these higher numbers. So when they do get into Canada and they find out that there's going to be a very long waiting list and a very small chance of being able to work and take care of their families, they decide to come back. Now that's just what I've been told. Those aren't facts that I've researched myself, but it makes sense when you've got that many people crossing.
yeah.
Per
So
month.
so those people aren't crossing at a place like this. They're crossing in the woods and,
Yes.
and all over the
Yes.
place. So it's a very, very dangerous situation. Now today it's 40 degrees out. The wind chill makes it feel like it's in the 20s probably. But recently we had wind chills of 40 below zero.
Mm-hmm.
Buses, we've been told, are arriving in the middle of the night in Plattsburgh
Mm-hmm.
from New York City.
And there are no taxis available to take them at that time, so those folks are stuck outside.
They're stuck outside. They some we were told, and we were talking. You and I were talking recently to some people that help these migrants to give them clothes and food and
Mhm.
even a ride if they're really desperate and don't have the money for the taxi. They said some of these people get off that bus from New York City and think they are in Canada.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so you've got a situation here where these people, for the most part, don't speak English. They're getting off in Plattsburgh where people aren't speaking Spanish or French or whatever language they are. And it's creating a really bad situation. Fortunately, we're in the middle of February, and a month from now our weather will be getting better, and the weather part of it will be better for
Yeah.
the coming months.
They will be less at risk for succumbing to the elements, but yes, I've been told that as well, that when they arrive now in the middle of the night off the bus and everything's closed, they are unexpectedly left outside.
Yeah.
Because they didn't expect that they were going to have to do another 20-mile trek.
Right. So I think being a sanctuary city and sending people up on a bus with so little information is being disingenuous. I think
Mm-hmm.
if they really think they're helping them by sending them up here, and Quebec is saying no, you're not supposed to be doing that. But if they think they're helping them, then they should make sure these people know their situation and not just say, "Have fun. We'll put you on the bus and head north."
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a sad situation all around. Sad situation where these people are so desperate to relocate in the first place. A lot of them come with their young ones strapped to their back or walking, and we applaud the people who are helping them with clothes and food.
I was just going to add that we definitely applaud the humanitarian efforts that these people are making to try to help them, be prepared for the elements by providing with jackets and mittens and hats and so on. They're doing everything they can to help out. They don't provide rides though. They don't take that risk. That's why the taxis are really the only ones that are allowed to bring them.
I think they maybe talked about a ride. I think maybe they went up to the Salvation Army, gave somebody a ride to the Salvation Army or something like that.
Possibly,
there,
yes.
but
not to come up here though.
Yes. So yeah, so a lot of these people are showing up not knowing that it's going to be an expensive taxi ride to get to the border.
Mm-hmm.
They get off that bus and they're all set. So
And they might not be prepared financially to do that.
right, yeah. Well, who's got an extra $100 sitting in their pockets when you're poor to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but that's the background. This is the situation here. The town needs some help as far as handling this, so that the snowplow can turn around, so the bus can turn around.
So it'd be nice if the garbage could be taken care of other than strictly volunteers and trying to keep up with it, because as you see, it's not a great situation. The wind gets into it, the animals get into it. We're constantly trying to pick up the stuff that's blowing around, and as I said before, these same volunteers that help with the clothing help try to maintain this as well. So thank you to them.
Yeah. So nothing else, Tom. We'll wrap this up. This is a an ongoing situation here. It has certainly changed since we first covered this 5.5 years ago. And,
It's evolved quite a ways.
yes, and like I said, it died down during COVID because the numbers were down and people weren't traveling. Canada wasn't allowing them in because of COVID. Even legal people trying to get across, we couldn't get across.
No, that's very true.
I wanted to go up there to get some meat pies up at the IGA in Lacole, and we couldn't do it. So as soon as we could, we stocked up. So thanks, Tom. We'll pass this along to maybe somebody out there watching this has ideas on what we can do to get this situation where it's safe. We're not encouraging those people to come here, but they're coming. So if they're coming here, we want to make sure that they're safe and not freezing to death out here, and that the snowplow can come here and
it doesn't impact our citizens that live here and work here.
Yeah, well, unfortunately it is, but in most of those cases, it's because these people some of them are coming back and they're crossing illegally, and they're crossing in people's backyards and through their cornfields and so on. And that picture of that barefoot is going to be in my mind for a long time.
Yeah, that's horrible.
In the snow. Yeah. All right, thanks, Tom Tremblay, the town supervisor in the town of Champlain.
You're welcome, Calvin. Thank you.
This is February 15th, 2023.